Are we on the internet? Hello? Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, good. Oh, lovely. Okay, that's just wonderful. Okay, I think we're here. Okay. I've never been on first before. This is a little difficult, I must say. Let me go ahead and fix this up. There we go. That's how he does it. That's exactly how he does it. Hi, everybody. This is Nancy Pelosi. As you know, Jeremy had an incident that he needed to take care of this morning, and as a result, he's a little bit late. So instead, we're going to start today with a new segment from my weekly book club. This week, I read the book, The History of America in 10 Strikes by Eric Loomis. Much to my disappointment, this book was not about bowling at all. It's actually about workers demanding that they get paid more money. I didn't like this book very much. It didn't really share the CEO's perspective. CEOs are people too, you know. Why didn't the workers just try to talk to the CEOs? Maybe invite them out for brunch or dinner. You could hold a brunch or dinner for the low price of $10,000 a plate. So this is very affordable. Maybe the CEO just wanted to buy a second vacation home and just couldn't afford to pay the workers more. This book gave a very skewed perspective and was not very nice as far as uniting all of us, the rich and all those other people. I deem this book definitely NSDD, not safe for donor dinners. All right, that was this week's version of Nancy Pelosi's book club. And now back to Get Your News On with Jeremy. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Shout out to Nancy Pelosi for doing the book club on a Monday, nonetheless, to pick up some slack for me. We are late. We're a half hour late today. I did tweet and say we were going to be late because I had an issue I needed to take care of with my car. Which, by the way, thank you guys so much for your well wishes and your concern. That meant a lot. You guys have emailed me. You guys have tweeted me. Very, very kind. Makes me feel very loved, and I appreciate it very, very much. It means a lot. All that happened, my trunk wouldn't close. It was pretty crazy. Like, I got home, and I don't think I'm an in particularly strong dude. I am 5'4", average build. I open and close my trunk just like a normal guy. Nothing particular. Just kind of, hey, closey close. Hey, open. Whoop-dee-dee. But for some reason, I got home yesterday from the live Jimmy Dore show. Shout out to everybody that was there. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but I had my guitar with me because of a certain segment we've been doing. But I had my guitar with me, got my guitar out of the trunk, and my trunk wouldn't close. I just went to close my trunk, and it just I kind of thought it was just a fluky thing. Went to close it again. Nope, nothing. My fiance came out. She tried to help. She tried to close it too. We could not close the trunk. I'm like, what is going on here? So I called AAA. I figure maybe something's jammed. Maybe they can kind of shimmy this out. AAA showed up, and the guy was like, yeah, dude, the part's just busted. And I'm like, I didn't slam my trunk. And he said, he's like, dude, it's something that can just happen. It has nothing to do with you closing your trunk too hard or whatever. It can just happen. I guess I probably use my trunk a lot, maybe more than the average person because I travel a lot. And I go on tour a lot, and I keep my merch bag in my trunk. So I'm opening and closing my trunk a lot for that. I don't know. But so anyway, this morning I had to get it to the dealership right away to make sure that gets fixed, because right now my trunk is being held together with a bungee cord. Not fun. So I had to get that in as soon as possible. Place opened at 9. Had to go wait in line. You get the idea. So anyway, that's why we're late. I appreciate everyone's understanding and everyone's patience. So it was an incident having to do with my car, but of course nobody is hurt. Fortunately, it didn't bust like while I was driving. I don't know if that would have been possible, but fortunately, it wasn't like it was just busted and the trunk flew up. That could have been way worse. So anyway, that's what happened. Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for your well wishes. But this is happening. Joe Biden, speaking of faulty stuff, Joe Biden's mind. Am I right? My trunk, Joe Biden's brain. Those are the two faultiest things going on the planet right now. Maybe. There's probably more. But those are up there. My trunk, Joe Biden's brain. My trunk was like the Joe Biden of politicians in that moment. That's what happened. He kind of lost it multiple times over the weekend. Here's one, for instance. Check out this video. Let me add this to the stream. Boom. All right. Giovanni Cavalsanti. I'm not even sure who that is, but this is where I picked that up from. All right, check this video out.
How is your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not gonna respond to that. Let's focus.
Notice how his eyes getting kind of weird. Do you guys see that? Like his eyes, like whenever he gets upset or has to answer a question, or whenever he gets whenever he's lying, maybe, because it's not a conflict of interest. Yes, it is. Your son got to sit on a board for an energy company. He was completely unqualified for this position. He got $50,000 a month for doing nothing. Nancy Pelosi's kids have done similar things. Chelsea Clinton does similar things. It's a corrupt gravy train. All the politicians do it. And Joe Biden's getting called out for it. All right, so here.
Focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president.
Do you guys think he just forgot Trump's name there? Do you focus on this man? The guy, not my boss, the guy after him. Focus on him. That guy that came after, you know what I'm talking about, right? That guy. He's the guy, not my boss, the dude that came later. All right, let's finish this.
Has ever done. No president.
How is your role as vice president?
Watch it again.
In charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine. How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not gonna respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done. No president.
No president. By the way, raw cucumber. Told you guys, my favorite breakfast, raw cucumber. I'm not lying. This is a raw cucumber. This is my version of popcorn. Joe Biden has been losing it recently. Why? Because people are calling out his corruption and his son's corruption in Ukraine, where his son is getting paid for doing nothing and sitting on a board. And Joe Biden's not the only person to do this. He's not the first. He's not the last. Tons of politicians' kids get to do similar things. It's quite a racket, actually. You get $50,000 a month for doing nothing. We thought that was limited to Tony Soprano. Nope. Turns out that actually goes on in politics. And Joe Biden can't handle this. His eyes get red whenever he's confronted. I think that's his Pinocchio effect. Instead of the nose growing, his eyes get red. Whenever Joe Biden's lying, that's what happens. Joe Biden is corrupt to all hell. So is Donald Trump. They are both corrupt to the core. And if they were to run against each other, it would just be a shouting match over which one is more corrupt. And then America, you have to pick your villain. And I'm sorry, but we deserve better. We shouldn't have to pick our villain between those two. It shouldn't happen. And this is why Joe Biden, I think even Joe Biden knows he's done now. But it's really important to reiterate this. And I know Kyle Kalinske, Jordan Sheridan, a ton of people have really been amplifying this for this reason. Joe Biden cannot be the nominee. It's looking like it's probably going to either be Biden, Warren, or Bernie. Only one of those is acceptable, and it's Bernie. But Biden especially, he needs to get out of the way now. Biden needs to get out of the way now. First of all, there's no way he would beat Trump. So if Biden's the nominee, we are guaranteed 4 more years of Trump. There's no way. I mean, look at this, because it's like he'll point a finger and then there's 3 pointing back at him. He'll be, focus on this man. Focus on this man. Well, no, people are going to focus on both, Biden. They're not going to let you off the hook because you're corrupt too. And he can't handle it. Joe Biden cannot handle this. He does not know how to handle himself. He has floundered in every debate. He has flailed in every debate. The only time he sounds somewhat coherent is when he's telling a story about corn pop, which who knows where the actual truth is there, because he's told all kinds of stories, and a lot of them don't have an inkling in truth of them. So there's Joe Biden flailing again. Do you want to watch it one more time while I finish my cucumber? Let's do it. Check it out. Here he goes. Can't handle it. It's not corruption. Why? Because I said it's not a conflict of interest. I just said it's not. He doesn't say how it's not. He just says it's not. Look.
How is your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not gonna respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done. No president.
What an answer. What an answer. It's not a conflict of interest. Why? Well, because it's not. It's just not. It's not. Focus on this man. The guy, who's the guy in office now? The dude, Trump, the guy, not my boss. No, he forgot Trump's name. He didn't even know. I think he likely didn't know Trump's name in that moment. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking he didn't know Trump's name. All right. So Biden, totally losing it, should not be the nominee. It would be scary dangerous if Joe Biden is the nominee. You know what else is scary dangerous? The drinking water in California, apparently. Truth to Tweet shares this. Now, by the way, we all know Truth to Tweet has a twin false to tweet, and we never really do false to tweets information. False to tweet is always sending us fake news. But Truth to Tweet sends us the truth. So we appreciate that. Here's what's going on here. Check this out. Oh, wait. It would help if I had the headline, huh? Potentially harmful forever chemical, PFAS, found in drinking water for 7.5 million California residents. It's not just Flint that doesn't have clean drinking water. It's also the state that also happens to be the fifth largest economy in the world. Fifth largest economy in the world. Somehow can't have a high-speed rail from San Diego to San Francisco. Somehow can't have a single-payer healthcare system for all of its residents. Somehow can't have programs for homeless people. Can't end poverty. And can't have clean drinking water. Fifth largest GDP in the world. Gee, when that happens in a country, a state that's part of a country where they happen to be the fifth largest GDP in the world, and yet they can't do any of these basic things countries with less resources take for granted, and they can't even provide clean drinking water. What do you call that? You called that a failed state. You call that blatant failure on the behest of the government. How can you? The United States is a failing experiment. We are another empire just like other similar ones that have crumbled. And it's safe to say we have reached a point of crisis. We are going to fall from grace, and we can either have that, have it be a graceful fall where we just become another country. We don't pursue endless war, or it's going to be a worse fall. It's going to be a brutal fall, and we're going to hurt the world too, because it's not just affecting us; it's affecting the rest of the world too, and the climate's at stake. But just the fact that something like this can happen proves the experiment's failing. The experiment is failing. Anyway, oh, well, our system overall is the best in the world. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because shit like this happens. No, it's not. When you have the fifth largest GDP in the world, you can't provide clean drinking water. The experiment's failed. Full stop. It is failed. It's unacceptable anywhere because this is the richest country the face of the world has ever known. But potentially harmful forever chemical PFAS found in the drinking water for 7.5 million California residents. Potentially harmful chemical has been found in drinking water systems that serve about 7.5 million California residents. Variants of the chemical PFAS, nicknamed the forever chemical because it does not break down once released into the environment, have been detected in water sources for 74 communities. Very low doses have been linked to an increased risk of cancer, reproductive and immune system harm, liver and thyroid disease, and other health problems. All the findings in the water sources from the California systems exceeded 1 part per trillion, which is the safe level recommended by the independent studies. All right. The utility with the highest level of PFAS were found in the southern part of Camp Pendleton, the Marine Corps base in San Diego County, where 820 ppt for severe different PFAS chemicals were measured in a single well in 2017. High amounts of PFAS were also found in the water systems in Corona, Oroville, and some Sacramento suburbs. Testing has been done every year since 2013, when the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency ordered nationwide sampling for PFAS. However, the data does not show the current level of contamination in residents' tap water, but rather the extent of contamination in drinking water sources identified since 2013. So here's a quote: maximum detection levels reported to the California State Water Board and the EPA are a snapshot of what was in the water when it was tested, not necessarily what is coming out of taps now. So it might not be this bad coming out of your taps, but this is happening. And just a little bit of this has been known to cause cancer. Where's it happening the most? San Diego County, Corona, Oroville, and the Sacramento suburbs. Sacramento, by the way, the capital. The capital of the state. And they can't even get clean drinking water. And again, when I say this, I'm not implying it's appropriate anywhere. Of course it isn't. It's unacceptable anywhere. But I'm saying it's just so blatant when it's going on, even in prominent places, that this is just a failed system. That this is just like, it's just backwards, and there's no reason whatsoever for it. But when it comes to the environment, there is something we can do. Now, Christina shares this, and this is older news, but it's worth a refresher, knowing that at the state level, there's stuff you can do. And a good example to look to is Illinois here. So check this out. A new law, now this is from August again. This is a refresher here. This isn't breaking. But a new law allows Illinois to set its own restriction on greenhouse gases. All right, so a law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker gives Illinois the ability to set its own limit on emissions of carbon and other greenhouse gases that scientists agree contribute to climate change. Now, the state had been prohibited from taking such action for the past 2 decades. A 1998 law prohibited Illinois from setting emission reduction targets beyond those established in the Kyoto Protocol. The U.S. withdrew from that treaty in 2001, but the Illinois law remained intact, leaving the state tied to goals no longer applied to the federal government. Now, by repealing the law, environmental advocates say Illinois is positioned to take action addressing climate change at a time when the Trump administration has impeded similar efforts by targeting climate protections related to coal-fired power plants. So here's what Governor Pritzker said about this when it happened. While the federal government unravels the progress made under the Obama administration, Illinois will not stand idly by. We're stepping up to protect the lives of generations to come. So the moral here, and again, this happened back in August. This is not breaking. We're revisiting this. The moral here is that at the state level, you can do things that override the failures of the federal government, even when it comes to the environment. You can have... In Austin, they're trying to just pass their own Green New Deal. In Austin, Texas, they're moving on with their own Green New Deal just in that city. You can do stuff at the neighborhood and city level all the time. It happens. You can have your own Green New Deal. It can be done. And it thumbs its nose at the federal government. Now, if every city in the country, if every state in the country, if every state did what Illinois did, we'd live in a different country. Clearly, Lucy's excited about this. Lucy, when it comes to environmental stories, Lucy gets stoked. Lucy, her time clock's all thrown off. She's meowing right now, if you notice. I don't know if you could hear her, but she's on the floor. You can't see her. Lucy, why don't you come up so people can see you? But she's meowing right now. Why is she meowing right now? Because usually this is when the show ends. The show usually ends right now. It's not ending right now because we started late, but the show usually ends right now. So she's kind of like, you're supposed to be brushing me and we're supposed to be playing. You're still talking to that device. I don't know what it means exactly when you talk to the device. I know you like it when I jump on the desk, and I like jumping on the desk. Sometimes here she comes. Here she comes. She heard me. She heard me. Thank you for jumping on the desk. But usually the show's over now. She knows that. She's not hungry. She had her breakfast. Somebody in the chat said she's hungry. She's not hungry. She had her breakfast. But she wants the show to be over. She's like, the show's supposed to be over. This is when you brush me. Lucy, sorry. I had to go. You noticed that we had to leave early. Me and mommy had to leave early to take my car into the dealership, which is never fun. That is never, ever fun. Anyway, yeah. Hopefully my trunk gets fixed soon. That's a cucumber, Lucy. You don't like that. You know when they inspect your food, it's because they're checking it. I learned that recently. In fact, somebody tweeted that to me when we did the CNN story on cats. Somebody tweeted that to me, like when they check your food but they don't try to eat it, or like they sniff it and kind of inspect it, they're actually checking it for you to make sure it's safe. Lucy, thank you for checking this cucumber. Thank you. Take over, Lucy. I'm chewing. What do you guys think? That was Lucy's assessment on the stock market. She just shaked her ass. All right. So that's an important refresher. Christina, thank you for reminding us. Sometimes it's important to revisit what states are doing to remind ourselves that there's power at that level. Now, this is something interesting, and it brings us to our song of the day. Ken, over on the Reddit subsection, shares this, which, by the way, I got all my stuff straightened out with Reddit. For some reason, my Reddit account was suspended. I had no idea why, but sorted all that out. So please continue dropping in the Reddit subsection. And this is from Ken that he dropped in the Reddit subsection. And this has to do with our artist of the day. Our artist of the day, the Cranberries. Go revisit the Cranberries. Linger. What else are there? That one anti-war song with their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their bombs. All right. I got to find out the title of that song. Zombie. Yeah, Zombie. Zombie, Linger, whichever track you want to start with. Revisit the Cranberries today. Why? Because this article is about cranberries that Ken shares from the Reddit subsection. Check this out. How the trade war crushed a growing Chinese market for U.S. cranberries. So cranberry producers in Massachusetts and around the country are slowly drowning in surplus fruit. There is no reason we should ever have surplus fruit anywhere at any time as long as there is a poverty level in this country. But I also understand these are farmers. They need to make a living. For years, harvests in the three major cranberry producing countries, the United States, Canada, and Chile, have swelled, while many consumers have turned away from sugary beverages like cranberry juice. As a result, the global supply of cranberries, wow, say that 5 times fast. That's a lot of tongue twisters there. And given the nature of the show, I'm reading everything for the first time. So the supply of cranberries has outgrown demand. We're in what I think is a really tough spot right now, said Dom Fernandez, a third-generation cranberry grower in Carver, Massachusetts. Now, I am as far from a farmer as you can get. I wish that wasn't the case. I always wanted to learn farming. When I was part of a crop share in Tennessee, I was good friends with my farmers. Maybe good friends is a bit of a stretch, but we became buddies. We would always chat it up. And they did a program where you could work in exchange for your share. If you didn't want to pay cash for it, you could work on the farm in exchange for your weekly share. I wanted to do it just to do it. I didn't mind just paying cash for my share. It was affordable, but I kind of wanted to do it for a week just to do it. And because of my road schedule, I was never able to do that. But I always thought that would have been cool. I know it's brutal work. Like, it is incredibly hard work. My fiance's family, some of her family, they run a maple farm, and it is insanely difficult what they do. And it is insanely time consuming. They're not even able to come to our wedding because that's like part of the harvest or whatever. I don't know if you say the word harvest for maple. Who knows? Anyway, cranberries, not doing great. I didn't know, my point being, I didn't know you could specialize in just cranberries. I didn't know that was a thing. You could just be like, hey, cranberries, that's what we do. I learned something new today. All right, so they're in a tough spot right now because there's not a demand for cranberries. And with the Trump administration, as the Trump administration prepares for a new round of trade talks, Chinese tariffs on American cranberries remain in place, adding to the economic pain growers are feeling. So because there's the tariffs on the American cranberries aren't coming in, and there was a demand for American cranberries in China. I think what should happen in situations like this, if ever there is a surplus from a farm, the government should purchase it and give it to people. That's what I think. Wow, Ron, you sound a little bit like a hippie idealist. I don't care. There's no reason any food that is grown should go to waste in this country. There is no reason for any of that to happen. And I'm sure they do their best selling it at the local farmers market. And I understand that a farm can't just be a charity. You know, I understand they can't do that. They need to generate revenue from what they're growing. I understand that. I'm not expecting farms to just be like, we got extra cranberries, here you go. I understand that's a difficult predicament because they spend money to produce this stuff. They spend time. They need their farm to be economically sustainable. Totally get that. But there should be some kind of system in place where it's like, hey, for whatever reason, you got excess crops. Maybe it's because of trade deals. Maybe it's because demand's just going down. Whatever it may be, we're buying them from you. We're distributing them to hungry people. We're going to make sure you get yours so your farm is sustainable, because the last thing we need in this country are farms closing. Farms should be opening in this country, not closing. And I know that's not I make it out like it's a store. Like the farm's gotta. I clearly do not know much about the mechanics of farming or the lingo, obviously. But what I do know is that our food culture in this country is fucked. Our food culture is absolutely ridiculous. The way we treat food, what we put in food, our attitude towards food. Just the fact that if you want to get shit, if you want to go to the grocery store and just get boxed garbage, you can. If you want to get produce, a lot more expensive. You want to get good quality produce, it's so much more expensive. In other countries, it's the opposite, by the way. In a lot of other countries, if you want fresh produce, if you want fresh breads or whatever, that's very affordable. When I was in Italy, I would occasionally for lunch just buy a loaf of bread and then just buy, like a thing of Italian cheese and then just get some random fruits and vegetables. It'd be like €3 or €4 for all that. And it was enough of a bounty that would be my lunch for like 5 days in a row. Like 5 days in a row. I would just eat that for lunch. It was like €4 or €5 for everything. If that, it might have been even less. But here in this country, you want a thing of organic blueberries or blackberries, and it's like $5 just for a little container of it. It's insane the way we treat food in this country. Absolutely insane. But if you want to get boxed macaroni and cheese, you can get like 10 of those for $1. And I'm not shaming people at all that need to do that to survive. I pretty much lived on that stuff for a long time, but it's not healthy. It's nowhere close to healthy. And our food culture needs to be completely reinvigorated. People have to have better relationships with their farms, and there should be systems in place to help this along. The weird thing about the United States is that in so many ways, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I went to my farmer's market yesterday, and I got a lot of stuff for a reasonable price. And this is Los Angeles. Nothing's cheap in Los Angeles. But I got like a week and a half's worth of produce if I would have gotten all that stuff at the grocery store, it would have been, God, I'm just trying to do the math in my head, like just quickly. It would have been 3 times as much, I'm pretty sure. Like when I'm factoring in what I got, the fact that I got apples, I got pears, I got I got different types of peppers, I got celery, I got green beans, I got 2 different kinds of cucumbers, some of the mini ones that I like to just eat, all willy-nilly. I got all that stuff. And I think just half of that stuff would have cost what I paid. So it would have been at least twice as much, maybe 3 times as much if I would have gotten all that at a grocery store. So the weird thing is in a lot of places, whether you live in a rural area or an urban area, a lot of places you can eat healthily and it's affordable. But you need to know where to look to do that. It's not easy to figure that out. And it's not possible for everyone. There are people who live in food deserts in the United States. It exists, which, by the way, that should never exist in the United States. But usually there is a farm that does some kind of crop share that you can buy a share. For any of you guys that don't know what that is, it's called a CSA. And make sure you Google CSA farm or something like that. If you just Google CSA, it might take you to something not very nice. When I lived in Tennessee, my cousin actually had to tell me. My cousin lives in South Carolina. He actually had to say, he's like, dude, don't just say CSA without having a precursor to what you're talking about. Like, oh, I have a CSA crop share from my farm. Like say the whole thing, because if you just say I love my CSA, they might think you're referring to the Confederate States of America, which is something much different than what you're talking about. And you would not want people making that mistake. No, I would not. So anyway, it is referred to as a CSA, which I believe stands for consumer supported agriculture, but it's basically just a crop share. And what happens there is for a fee, for a weekly fee or a monthly fee, depending on how the farm does it, you get a box of fresh produce from the farm. You get a share of what that farm has grown for the entire harvest season. You're basically just buying into the bounty of the farm. And it's usually pretty affordable. And when you break it down and you compare it to what you would spend in the grocery store, it's way cheaper. And in some cases, like in the case where I was at in Nashville, Tennessee, you can join a farm, and if you don't have the funds, you can work for your share. Maybe you don't have the funds, but you do have a little bit of time because you're underemployed. Well, hey, you can work a couple hours a week and get Lucy does not like the idea of farming. Lucy's like, dude, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. I am not going to farm. You let me outside, I'm going to hunt. That's what I'm going to do. You want to keep predators away, I'll help there, as long as they're small predators. But actual farming, not my cup of tea. Lucy bailed. But so what I'm getting at is that there are ways to eat well. And what I mean by well is healthy. But the systems aren't in place for it. Our governments don't really help our farms. Our government doesn't really aid our food culture or connect it to health and well-being. We don't do that because we don't have healthcare in this country. We don't have actual healthcare. If we had a Medicare for all system, we would focus more on preventative care, which would go towards eating, which would kind of connect all these. You get the idea. So no cranberries should go to waste in this country. None, ever. There should be a system in place that whenever there's a bounty that can't be used for what it's normally useful and there's an excess, the government comes in and buys that and subsidizes it and then distributes it to hungry people. That should exist. And we can pay for a program like that many times over. It'd be a very, very affordable thing to do. That what I just described would not be difficult at all. So that sucks for the cranberry growers. That sucks that they're not they're not finding a home for their cranberries. Now, Lisa here says that the USDA does buy up some surplus crops, and they used to distribute in mass distributions quarterly to low income. Well, they need to expand that and bring it back. They need to expand that and bring it back. That's what they need to do. So I guess some of that does go on, but definitely not enough of it. It needs to be a national, well-funded, solid federal program that's efficient and does the job. All right. So, interesting story there, and is connected to other things. So here's something else. We talk about power in the states and power at acting locally or at the state level. Well, this is something that Bernie references as far as tuition-free college goes. Tim shares this, and Tim is a resident of New Mexico. And this is something going on in New Mexico. If passed, New Mexico's free tuition plan would become the most inclusive in the country. So what is New Mexico up to when it comes to free tuition? It's out of Albuquerque. New Mexico students could soon have a free ride to a state college if Governor Michelle Lujan Grissom's plan is approved. The governor announced Wednesday that she will seek legislative approval for a $35 million a year program that would guarantee New Mexico high school graduates free tuition and fees at any of the state's 24 college institutions. It would make New Mexico the second state to offer free tuition to offer free tuition. To high school graduates. If it's approved, education experts told KOAT that New Mexico will become the state with the most wide open and inclusive program in the country. Now, and had this happened already, Breaking Bad would have had to have adjusted their plot lines. So in a way, I'm glad this hasn't happened yet. I mean, really, I know that's pretty selfish of me, but Breaking Bad, maybe the best series ever on television. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad this wasn't passed already, because then it could have fucked with the plot of Breaking Bad. I mean, really, Ron, sounds like your priorities are a little backwards. Have you watched Breaking Bad? I mean, come on. But Walter White, if it's like, oh, well, Junior can just go to school for free. They would have just had to take place somewhere else. Yeah, that's all that would have happened. It would have just taken place somewhere else. But yeah, anyway. But interesting note, plot of Breaking Bad could have been messed with. But he didn't just want money for his kids' college. He also wanted money for retirement for his family when he was presumably no longer going to be there. Plot of Breaking Bad, of course, if you have been living under a rock forever, it's a high school chemistry teacher gets diagnosed with lung cancer. So he becomes a drug producer. He starts making meth to make money for his family. And chaos ensues. It's a hell of a series, and full disclaimer, I revisited it not too long ago to get ready for the movie. There's a movie coming out this Friday, and it's called El Camino, and it's about Jesse's story post Breaking Bad. So I revisited the last season of Breaking Bad to get ready for it. Still just as good the second time around. It is a brilliant series. Does not need an endorsement from me. But let's look more into this plan here. So not as many states are going as far as New Mexico has. New Mexico's program, this is according to Juliana Morgan, a fellow with the Roosevelt Institute. New Mexico's program, it does have a few conditions for eligibility, but relatively few compared to places we've seen like New York. And I think as these programs go through the legislative process, we often see some of that added. The program called New Mexico Opportunity would supplement the tuition gap that's left unpaid by federal grants in the state's lottery scholarship. Right now, on average, New Mexico students have to pay between 25 and 40% of their tuition. It would also cover all students regardless of family income and even be open to undocumented students. The only state that has a program that comes close to New Mexico's plan is New York. Tuition to state institutions range from $762 to $3,500 a semester. The program would also pay for fees students would normally have to cover for taking special classes, such as science courses that use labs. The program could help an estimated 55,000 students per year. There you go. There you go. So New Mexico has a program, and where do they say? Yeah, $35 million a year. So we'll see what happens here. We'll keep an eye on this. And, you know, I think if New Mexico can do it, I think a lot of other states can too. And in fact, I know we can do this at the federal level. And Bernie has a plan for it. And he has a plan on how to pay for it. Because it can be paid for many times over. A small tax on Wall Street, where they're still going to be rich at the end of the day. They're still going to be able to trade at the end of the day. A small tax on Wall Street can give us tuition-free college in this country. Also, you look into MMT. We have many ways of paying for this many times over. Because we can just print money. So there's many ways of paying for this many times over. We never ask where we're going to get the money when it comes to bombs. We just get the currency available. We can do that same thing for tuition-free college or for universal health care. And even still, using the resources we currently have in circulation, we can pay for it many times over through taxes that people ought to be paying anyway, that the 1% should already be paying. Through those taxes, we can pay for these programs. So whenever someone tells you, how are we going to pay for it? We can many times over in many different ways. We can afford it. It's just the ruling class doesn't want us to have it. All right, but go New Mexico. We'll keep an eye on this. Tim, thank you for sharing. All right, I'm going to go to you guys, see what y'all are saying. You know. And thank you guys for coming here and being here, even though we're late. Even though it was a different timing show today. And I'm sorry, I might seem a little out of it. I did kind of have to rush to get things ready. I didn't do, the whole purpose of this show is I'm not supposed to prep a lot, but I do prep a little bit. I skim stuff, I arrange it, I kind of have a theme going. Today, I really wasn't able to do that as much, so it was a little scattered, and I appreciate your kindness and your understanding. And I hope you guys, yeah, I'm glad you all were able to make it, but basically, thank you for doing that. Melissa says, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Melissa says, hit the like button. Please take her advice. Please do hit that like button. Yeah, Bernie 2020, I'm with you. Let's see. Spider, do a UFO video with Jamal. I want to. So we talked about it, and then we kind of both sort of, I guess, forgot. You know, but we're going to do that. Lauren says, college is not for everyone. Most of the people I know with degrees aren't too bright. They are not critical thinkers. Certainly that happens. You know, I've said this. I know some very not bright people with master's degrees. I know some of the smartest people I know barely finished high school. Certainly when it comes to education, there is no one size fits all. Higher education and even not higher education isn't for everybody. People learn differently. But, you know, if college is for you, and college is for a lot of folks too, and there's a lot of different things you can do with a college education. There's different areas to study. There's different fields you can go into. A college education ought to be available and free for anyone who wants one. For anyone who wants a college education, it should be free. We should have tuition-free college, and we should have tuition-free vocational schools too, tuition-free apprenticeships and stuff like that. A lot of times there's arrangement where those don't have a tuition anyway. A lot of times you can do an apprenticeship and basically you're just working through it. It's basically just a paid internship. You know, you want to be a mechanic. A lot of times that just involves you get in, you're just, you're basically just an apprentice and you still get paid a little bit in a lot of cases. I'm sure there might be some cases where you don't. I don't know for sure. But you're just brought into the system and you're trained. So yeah, we need tuition-free college. Basically, anyone who wants to contribute to society should be able to do that and should get the training they need, regardless of their ability to pay for it. Because we all want to be contributing members of society, and all of society benefits when everyone's contributing, not just those that come from privilege. And for democracy to work, you need everyone engaged, and you need everyone participating, you need everyone part of the conversation, not just the rich. Because that's the case now, that's why we have the system we have, where the rich are benefiting and no one else is. But anyway, guys, hopefully my trunk gets fixed, right? You know, I mean, all right. Guys, tour dates, I got them. Australia, don't wait. Get your tickets because they're going fast, which I'm stoked to report. Tickets in Australia, going fast. Get them now. We are coming in November. November 14th, we're going to be in Melbourne. November 15th, we're going to be in Adelaide. November 17th, Sydney. November 22nd, Perth. Get your tickets now. RonPlacone.com for all those tickets. Graham Elwood and myself are coming down under. And there's a lot of off days in between there, which I am going to spend some time at the beach and some time sightseeing in Australia. I've never been. Stoked for that. Also, December, we got some dates in Southern California to get ready for our 2020 tour. We're going to be touring a lot in 2020. December 13th, come see us at Ventura Harbor Comedy Club. December 14th, come see us at the Dojo of Comedy at Sycamore Tavern. We're going to be previewing our 2020 tour, which, by the way, some of those tickets are already available. February 8th, Tucson, Arizona. Tickets available now. February 29th, San Francisco, California. Tickets available now. March 12th, Orlando, Florida. Tickets available now. Miami, Tampa. Don't worry, we're coming. Tickets will be available soon. April 10th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's just me, but tickets are available for that now. April 24th, we'll be in Seattle, Washington. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. Tickets are available now, ronplacone.com. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You get a patrons-only stream once a week. You get dialogues between me and Lucy. You get my album in its entirety digitally. You get all kinds of fun stuff. Full stand-up clips, not available anywhere else. That's all for a Give What You Can level. You help me expand the stream. You help me do more interviews. You help me do more segments. Unfortunately, because of my car issue, I had to cancel an interview today. We were going to have an interview today, but I had to cancel it because of the car thing, which I feel badly about. We will be rescheduling that as soon as possible, and I can't wait to share the info with you when that becomes available. In the meantime, we'll be back tomorrow, back at our normal time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be back tomorrow, normal time. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.